Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, the Season 5 update for Warzone and Modern Warfare 3 is out, and with it, we got a bunch of patch notes to go through and break down. So we are starting here on the multiplayer side of things. We'll then transition into zombies and then into Warzone as well. Lots of changes here. The full update is out at 9 a.m. Pacific time, so this video will probably go up a little bit before the full update is actually out, but obviously all the patch notes, everything is here. So of course, we know about all the new content coming by now with Season 5, the new maps for 6v6, Bait Yard, we got Cell Ship, we've got Tunoxide and Ink House as well. We've got a bunch of different new modes dropping throughout the season, new weapons with the STG-44 and Static HV available today, of course, a bunch of new aftermarket parts throughout the various weeks. This week is going to be the wide mouth barrel on the Moors, which actually turns it into the blunderbuss, which is going to be pretty crazy. Then we've got our future weeks coming up as well. We've got new equipment, new operators, of course, plenty going on there, events throughout the season. But then we get into our actual changes here. Go ahead and zoom in for you guys. So with stability and performance, they addressed an issue causing poor performance on Xbox One consoles. So there was a specific issue going on with performance there, as opposed to the general stability updates going on all platforms, whether you're on PC, PlayStation, Xbox. There's general issues going on with stuttering and packet bursts and stuff like that. This fix is just specifically for last gen Xbox. For customization, they improved the quality of first-person arm textures on the Jeans Ghost Operator skin. They also removed incompatible underbarrels on the FJX Horus blueprint. Now, multiplayer specifically for UI and UX, they increased the limit number of tracked challenges up to 10. That's awesome. I love that. Makes tracking things a bit easier. Improved the flow of interacting with an empty slot in the player list in private matches. Trigger action attachment slot is now displayed while previewing blueprints. For bug fixes here, added various measures to prevent custom mods with unintended attachment setups from being used. Fixed an issue causing unexpected attachments to be equipped after removing a conversion kit. Fixed an issue causing a low quality background asset to be displayed in the ranked play tile. Various issues encountered when filtering calling cards. Pros and cons are now displayed in the gunsmith for akimbo attachments. Corrected the count of unlockable camos displayed in that menu. Lengthy Activision IDs no longer cause line breaks in the kill cam. They improved the sizing of columns on the scoreboard to prevent overlap. Attack stance indication is now properly displayed on the HUD when using a juggernaut, and adjusted the pros and cons for several attachments to improve accuracy. For gameplay updates here, added missing operator voice lines when pinging a medbox, tac cam, comm scrambler, ACS, or remote turret. They also fixed some magazine issues on the MTZ-556. On Invasion, they updated this a little bit with an SUV on the street. On Terminal, they fixed an issue causing some aerial streaks to get stuck. On Vista, they made several updates here, including a kill streak fix, the defender spawns and attacker spawns, various things there. They say changes to control in response to player feedback, intending to improve the competitive experience of the mode on Vista. Now, multiplayer weapons updates, these are specific to multiplayer. Keep in mind, we'll have plenty of Warzone specific updates coming too. On assault rifles with the BAL-27, decreased the horizontal recoil magnitude, allowing greater predictability during sustained fire. That's really solid there. I imagine that's a universal update. They decreased the overall recoil magnitude in long range, decreased the overall recoil deviation. So they just made the BAL-27 easier to use. On the Supri, they actually decreased the movement speed a little bit there, only 2%. The crouch movement speed, some the sprint speed, and the ADS strafe speed as well. So the Supri gets a movement nerf. For the Horus, they also slowed it down here. So they increased the sprint to fire time. They decreased the maximum range, the near to medium damage range, and the medium damage range. They also decreased the far to medium damage range as well. On shotguns on the Reclaimer 18, they fixed an issue causing inconsistent damage dealt to enemies in both fire types. On the semi-auto fire type, they increased the fire rate a little bit and also the hip fire spread. Then on the pump action, they increased the hip fire maximum damage, the maximum damage range, and the hip fire near to medium damage range. Using the pump action fire type, the Reclaimer 18 is now capable of killing enemies with one shot within its maximum damage range. 2 shots are more consistent. That's solid for multiplayer. The broadside jawbreaker conversion got a recoil reduction by 20%. The Guardian removed the ability to equip the incompatible short grip underbarrel. On the Pilomyot 762, they actually buffed the upper arm and lower arm damage multipliers. On Marksman's here, for the Interceptor, they decreased the maximum damage range by 25%. That's actually pretty significant. They also decreased the lower torso, upper arm, lower arm, and hand damage multipliers. Then on the EBR, the factory stock, they fixed an issue with this in ADSing. The Stalker, they increased the upper leg, lower leg, and foot damage multipliers. Within its maximum damage range, the Stalker is now capable of a one-shot regardless of where you hit in multiplayer. Then the Carrick got a buff. increased the maximum damage range, increased the near to medium damage range, removed the medium damage range. That's just a little bit more effective now. The Core 45, they decreased the fire rate of the base weapon. On the match trigger, they decreased the fire rate. On the heavy trigger, they decreased the fire rate. Core 45 trigger action attachments were previously more beneficial than intended. Due to negligible downsides, fire rate increases are generally kept below 50%. We'll continue to monitor that. So Core 45 is not going to be nearly as effective at all right now. The tier, they increased the maximum damage range in the near to medium damage range, so that just has more range now. And the GS Magnet, they removed an incompatible optic. On the Sledgehammer, they decreased the movement speed by a lot, then also the heavy swing range a little bit too. They also did a lot for the perks here. So on the Engineer Vest, they added a lethal equipment slot. On the Gunner Vest, they added a boot perk slot. Demo, they added a second gear slot. Basically just adding in all the slots that were missing for several of these vests. Basically, if you want to read the exact details, feel free to go ahead and pause there. On kill streaks, score earned via kill streaks no longer contribute to the next kill streaks. No more streaks earned streaks. Basically, that modifier is out. However, looping streaks is staying. And on the MGB, that's no longer a DNA bomb. It's now an MGB. We then get into some of the zombies updates here. So with stability, they resolved a crash that occurred when multiple users placed a sentry turret at the same time. Solved several crash bugs that occurred when getting into the unstable rifts and getting kills there. With progression, the Reclaimer 18 challenge of 20 consecutive kills is now progressing as intended. Weapon widget on the HUD now supports ammo counts greater than 999. Bug fixes, they fixed an issue causing improper ammo counts to be displayed while using the mags of holding. And then also several instances in which calling cards did not match in-game names. With accessibility here, some visual effects such as muzzle flashes have been reduced. For gameplay updates, they adjust an exploit to enter inaccessible areas while carrying a sentry, an issue causing players to receive invalid weapons in the mystery box. Resolved an issue where the mod barrel attachment, the cast 10, was removed and reverted to a default barrel. Resolved an issue with the max ammo power-up not instantly filling your magazine if you had a Kimbo on. Resolved an issue where tac sprint animation for the Sledgehammer differed. Resolved an issue with Operation Deadbolt where the helicopter would fail to move away. Now we can jump over to the Warzone patch notes. So as we dive into all these Season 5 Warzone updates here, quick reminder, if you are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns, everything going on there is right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, join us on the road to 1 million. And if you enjoy this video, a like rating is always really appreciated. But as far as customization here goes, they improved the quality of the first person arm textures in the Jeans Ghost Operator skin, then also an incompatible underbarrel on the FJX Horse. Map updates on Urzikstan, we obviously have the Superstore POI returning. We've got a bunch of new modes coming throughout the season, but first up is Superstore Resurgence. It's only 28 players though, so I have to assume that that is going to die out really quick. Our playlist update for this week is Superstore Resurgence quads. We've got ranked play trios on Rebirth for this season, plunder quads, battle royale solos, duos, trios, and quads on Urzikstan, map rotation trios for Resurgence, and then also solos, duos, and quads on Rebirth. New updates with the Season 5 rewards. We've got 4 new camo categories. You complete all of those, you end up getting this Bruin blueprint. For gameplay updates, we've got the redeploy drone beacon, which is basically like the redeploy drone balloon from Caldera. You can set this down and redeploy off the drone and get that max height launch basically wherever you want. We have the bounty contest public event where someone from every team gets a bounty on them and you also get a bounty, and then you can sort of just chain those together. For as long as the event's ongoing, you end up having bounties on you. There's a new Champions Quest reward, so you can now get this super slick like sort of oil spill camo. Love the look of that. We've got the buy station inventory being updated. The RDB replaces the PRD, so you can get the redeploy balloon or drone now there. And Resurgence Specialist is now in the buy station. It's 1 stock for 30 grand. For Resurgence, the Champions Quest timers have been reduced a little bit there now. We're happy with the current challenge, but we wanted to create more gunfights around the nuke itself. We noticed a lot of nukes were planted with few squads remaining. This was never the intent, and hopefully these timer reductions will make the challenge difficult and the ending more exciting. Redeploy weapons. Handgun attachments have been refreshed. Thank goodness. Get the Deagle out of my hands. Updated a few primary weapons supplied later into the match. Public events. The introduction of the bounty contest reduces the chance of occupation and rogue signal. Solo contract behavior canceled, or contracts will no longer be canceled if you are eliminated in Resurgence solos. We then get to some of the weapons. Of course, we've got the static HV, the STG, our new aftermarket parts, of course. Then our actual weapon updates. The MCW, lower torso modifier increased a tad bit. This brings it to the same TCK as the upper torso. The MCW is going to be a really good gun, I think, after this update. Max damage range increased on the SVA a tad bit, so the SVA gets even better now. BAL27 max range increase. They also decrease the horizontal recoil magnitude, the recoil magnitude over range, and the overall recoil deviation. So BAL27's close range is better now, and it's also easier to use. MTZ556 also got a near to mid damage range buff, so that gets even better now. The M4 also got a minimum damage buff, a near to mid damage buff, and a max damage range buff too. So basically the M4 is better. The BAS B max damage range was buffed. That was already a pretty good option, so now it's going to be even better. The TAC V also got a leg modifier increase as well. This was already one of the fastest TTK guns in the game, so that now becomes even better. For subs on the AMR9, the max range was buffed and the near to medium damage range was buffed, so it becomes a little bit more versatile there. Its TTK still isn't the fastest, but its ranges are good. On the Horus, the max damage range was decreased down to 8 meters again, so they buffed that before. They've now just reverted that. The near to medium damage was also decreased. That range is worse now. The mid damage range is worse, and the sprint to fire is worse. So the Horus gets nerfs all across the board. The Superi, they decreased the movement speed. The crowd, we're not damage nerfing the Superi? What? Okay, so that's really disappointing, honestly. We nerfed the Horus, but we didn't nerf damages on the Superi, so this just becomes even more obviously the number one SMG. It's just going to be slower now. That makes no sense from a weapon balance standpoint, I'm not going to lie. The WASP-9 leg modifier was decreased. The WASP-9 is a great longer range SMG option, but we wanted to ensure that you need to be more accurate with your shots to hit that intended TTK. The mini Bach, interesting. Minimum damage, so its long range damage was buffed. Its max range was buffed. Near to mid damage range buffed. Lower torso modifier buffed. Arm and hand modifier buffed. So the mini Bach gets better all around. It was one of the worst guns in the game, so that's probably necessary. The P90 minimum damage increased a little bit, so that's its long range again. Near to mid damage increased as well. The Vel 46 near to mid damage buffed, minimum damage buffed a tad bit. Arm and hand modifier buffed as well, so MP7 gets better. Then the Vaznev mid damage, min damage, and max damage range all got buffed. So these SMGs are all a bit more competitive. I imagine the Vaznev's actually going to be pretty close to being a competitive option. The Vel, the P90, and the mini Bach were close outside the mini Bach, so maybe those are a bit more competitive now, but I really don't understand how these other options are getting damage nerfs and the Superi's only getting a movement nerf. That's crazy to me. The Bruin got its max damage range increased a tad bit. Not super important there because that's its close range and the Bruin's not being used for close range. We also have the Holger 26. Lower torso modifier was actually decreased, so the Holger 26 was a dominant long range choice this past season. While we want to keep it as a viable option, it was slightly overperforming. This change makes it so you have to be a bit more accurate to get that intended TTK. That's not hard with the Holger. The thing is crazy accurate. The Pulamyot max damage range buff, upper arm and lower arm modifiers buffed as well, so Pulamyot's a tad bit better. On the Eradicator, minimum damage increase, so its long range actually gets a decent buff there. Max damage range is even better too, so the Eradicator becomes a decent bit better. I'm excited to use that again. And then the Evolver leg modifier buffed as well, so I like to see that we're seeing a lot of buffs here for sure. For shotguns, the Reclaimer 18, they increased that semi-auto fire rate. They also fixed an issue with the inconsistent damage. Then the conversion kit on the broadside also got that vertical recoil reduction. On handguns here, they also made the same changes as over in multiplayer with the Core 45. The fire rate, basically no matter what you're using, is just objectively worse now. The Sledgehammer has worse movement and the heavy swing range is also worse as well. Updated Resurgence ranks, so compete in the next season of Warzone ranked on Rebirth Island. Of course, we have our standard seasonal resets going on here. UI and UX updates, dynamic gas mask overlay. They talked about this in a dev call that I was a part of. I'll have full details on that in a video here soon. But now, when you put the gas mask on, the effects of it are not on your screen unless you go into the gas. So the overlay only exists if you're in the gas. Love that. That's such a W update. Reinforcement flare, we added a reminder in the HUD whenever your squad mate's eliminated, so you get the, hey, you've got a flare, you should probably use this. Infill parachute added the parachute camera perspective setting in the console graphics menu. Setting allows players to change between first and third person. Plate carriers, the stow prompt now appears properly when using a plate carrier loot card. Bug fixes, fixed an issue with the find a party feature. Hey, maybe it'll be back with this update in full. Fixed several issues causing crashes and errors. You'll love to see that. An issue causing vehicle icons to be larger than intended. An issue in plunder preventing the downed icon in the feed. An issue causing the backup pistol to remain in the player's hands when entering a boat. an issue preventing the specialist perk from updating the currently holding section in the buy station, an issue causing players to get booted to the main menu and in the gunsmith, an issue with a player to be kicked out of the private match when looking at a player profile, and an issue causing text to overlap on a redacted weapons loot card. And those are all of the updates with the Season 5 patch here, the 1.47 update, I think it is. That's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like. It's always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so you can always guarantee you're up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.